4 times a year, companies that are public report what happened last quarter: revenue, cash flow, profits, and guidance for what comes next. That's the whole event. And at the core, it's pretty simple. My name's Garrett Baldwin. I am the editor of Me at the Money Printer on Substack. And today we're going to explain earnings season. A company reports what happened, Wall Street compares it to what Wall Street expected, and then the company's stock moves based on something nobody mentioned until afterward. And that's exactly what this is. This is just one gigantic media event. That's all it really is, everybody. This is a television show, because earnings season is a real financial event that has been turned into the Super Bowl, and it exists partly to give financial television something to do. There's only so many times that you can ask whether or not the Fed is going to cut rates. You eventually run out of responsible people that you can bring on air and talk to. And again, eventually the audience will start to look for their remote if you start talking about Tesla every single day. Okay, so 4 times a year, the schedule fills itself. And it's pretty simplistic. There's not really a whole lot to it. But then all of a sudden, we start having countdown clocks. Yes, countdown clocks until Apple reports and until Tesla reports, until SpaceX reports very soon. There are pre-game panels. There are graphics with swooshing sound effects for a company that sells accounting software to dentists. It is a crappier version of minor league lacrosse. There is a schedule. There are uniforms. Some people actually keep score. The arena, though, is mostly empty. A man with a headset is screaming as though the Republic depends on second quarter adjusted gross margins. Senior center stocks? Like, what is happening? All right, hold on to that arena, because we're going to spend pretty much a couple of minutes just inside of all of this. And by the end, the mascot's going to get involved. So let's just explain how all of this works. All right. So a company reports. It beats the published estimate, and the stock falls. Why? Because of what is known as the whisper number, which is the number everybody secretly expected, as opposed to the published number everybody publicly discussed. What? The company beat the number on the screen and missed the one that matters, which means the published estimate was really never an estimate. It was a decoration. And the number that was already important changed jerseys, and the game hasn't even started. Why don't we just print the whisper number? That's what everybody expects. This is not that complicated. Why did we have to do this? Oh, yes, to fill another 8 minutes of conversation about what a whisper number is. And where did the published estimate even come from? Well, this is the fun part. Management guides the analysts through the quarter, gently, downward. The analysts lower their guidance numbers to match the hints. And the company then, when they report earnings, beat the lower number. And the television says they beat expectations. The published number. They moved the goal 6 feet closer and scored, and then rang the opening bell. So now the metrics start to multiply. The standard accounting in all of this is known as GAAP. Then there is adjusted, which is earnings before the parts management would prefer that you do not use to describe the quarter. So GAAP earnings were 42 cents, but adjusted earnings were $1.17. What did we adjust? Well, everything that happened. Both numbers are on the scoreboard. Both claim to be the score, and nobody has stopped play to actually explain any of this. And the largest adjustment is almost always, a one-time charge. So at some point, a charge that shows up every single quarter is not one time. It's just a cost of running the business wearing a disguise. The one-time charge is back for the 6th year in a row to say goodbye. Once again, over there it goes. Let me show you how this works. Using a company that does not exist. American Insight Media Holdings reports the quarter. Paid subscribers of this company, let's say subscription-based company, drops. Revenue falls. Cash flow weakens. And the headline in 14-point font reads, average revenue per retained premium relationship increased 11%. The number has entered witness protection at this point. New name, new denominator, same quarter. What the hell is a retained premium relationship? Well, it's a customer who has not yet located the cancellation button. And the metric may be perfectly real. It's also company defined. Management chose the numerator, the denominator, the name, and the enormous spotlight pointed directly at it. So it's useful in the exact way that I can define adjusted household liquidity as all the money I would have if you exclude my mortgage, my tuition, everything my family has ever purchased, and maybe just pile a bunch of money in my garage and just tell me it's there. The company's not making more money. It's losing customers, but the customers who remain are apparently being milked with increasingly operational excellence. Now, here's the actual mechanism. So let me be precise, because the cheap version of this rant is wrong. The financial statements have standardized rules. Management cannot simply invent net income. The commentary is not lawless either, but it has considerably more room for choreography. Management decides what to emphasize, what to adjust, what to define, what to call temporary, and what metric gets to be in 14-point font, while the real deterioration is quietly walked down to a footnote on page 23. So a decline becomes strategic repositioning. Layoffs become right-sizing. Subscriber loss becomes improved customer quality. Falling revenue becomes disciplined monetization. A price increase to hide the churn becomes premiumization. Pulling the annual forecast entirely becomes enhanced flexibility, and a collapsing legacy business becomes portfolio simplification. At this point, the company is not reporting results. It is laundering verbs. None of these words are lies exactly. They are just the same event dressed for a different funeral. And if you read the actual filing underneath the paragraph, the underlying numbers usually tell the plainer story. That's the trick. The rules live in the table. The choreography lives in these sentences above it, and almost nobody reads down that far. Who the hell has a background in Microsoft Excel anymore? The building is on fire, but management has identified a meaningful improvement in the quality of the smoke. So, the PE ratio, very important, okay? It's still a number, but it's no longer an explanation. Somewhere in here, somebody says price to earnings ratio as if it settles the argument. PE used to be the price of $1 of earnings, but the price is now also a function of liquidity, passive flows, buybacks, options positioning, index membership, and whether the CEO said AI enough during the call. PE is still a number. It's just no longer a complete explanation. It is a player statistic in a league where the shot clock moves with monetary policy and the scoreboard is sponsored by the Federal Reserve. Okay? So when the system floods the market with liquidity, investors don't merely value earnings. They auction narratives. And that is what all of this is about. Sometimes the company trades at 40 times earnings because liquidity needed somewhere to go. And this one had a cloud slide and it said AI 17 times. So when you sit down and you interview a CEO, well, sometimes what you come to find is that the CEO will say something completely and totally silly. And in that case, well, let's just do a hypothetical of this real quick. Let's just have a conversation with an ordinary CEO who wants to talk about the resilience of his company in a difficult customer environment. Cool. Let's do that. Let's bring you on, Mr. CEO. Let's have a conversation real quick about your earnings report. CEO, what do you have to say? We delivered resilient performance in a dynamic environment. Revenue fell. We improved customer quality. Customers left. Average revenue per customer increased. Paying customers paid more money. Correct. And this is progress. We are very encouraged by the trajectory. Trajectory. The building is descending. Gravity is also a trajectory, everybody. Nobody on this call has said a single false thing, and almost nothing they said is true. All right, wait. Hold on. Put the score back up. Which number won? Okay? And now watch the whole machine move at once. And it goes fast, everybody. Okay? The analysts, this is what matters most. Management picked the metric. Investor relations framed the metric. The analysts repeated the metric. Television put the metric in a green box. The stock then moved because the completely different metric, that one that nobody had discussed, driven by positioning and flows, and whatever story the market needed that afternoon. And afterward, everybody explained the move using a third metric that had not come up until the move needed to be explained. The company beat the estimate, missed the whisper, raised guidance, lowered the long-term targets, improved what? Improved average revenue per customer, lost customers, generated adjusted earnings, consumed actual cash, and at 4:17 in the afternoon, 6 people on television agreed that the quarter was mixed. The number has changed jerseys 4 times and is now giving a post-game interview. Mixed. That is the final score. Nobody knows who won. The mascot's crying. The concession stand's closed, and Jim from Derivatives is trying to explain at 4:17 why the 11% decline in the stock was, in the long term, constructive. Okay, breathe. Here's the checklist underneath all of it. Organic revenue, customer count, cash flow dilution, debt, margins, guidance revisions. Revisions. Whether the one-time charge showed up again, and whether management quietly swapped the metric. Because when management stops talking about the number it used last quarter and introduces a brand new number this quarter, that is not innovation. That is evidence relocation. So earnings is not a report card. It is a theater built around a filing, and the filing tells you what happened, and management tells you what to notice. The analysts tell you what was expected. Television tells you whether it was a beat. And the stock tells you that none of those people controlled the outcome. And the next morning, everybody explains why the move was obvious. In a world of printed money, earnings do not disappear. They just become one instrument, an orchestra made entirely out of symbols. So read the cash flow, count the shares, watch the customers, track the debt. And whatever management introduces a new metric with 7 words in the name, go check to see what happened with the metric that only had 3 words in it. Because when the business gets worse, the metric name gets longer. That's a rule. And as always, do me a favor. Stay positive.